wanted to welcome you to the Tech Talk session. Joining me today, we have, my name is Josh Bradfield. I'm a mission account manager here as part of the ServiceNow IC team. And I'm joined by Dan Punaro, who's one of our solutions consultants, who's going to actually be walking through some of the demonstration aspect of things today. So, before we get started, we really just, as a team, want to just send a quick thank you to all those people, friends, families, colleagues, neighbors, whomever it is that are out there, working in the healthcare systems, working in our hospitals, that are down in, whether they're the grocery store, truck drivers, whatever it may be. We sincerely appreciate everything that you're doing to maintain the way of living that we're all, at least some semblance of reality in what's going on today. So we really appreciate that. And to all of you as part of our customer base within the IC, we really appreciate everything that you're doing to stay productive and when you go in and being productive towards the mission, which is also incredibly important to everything we do. So thank you very much. Again, on behalf of the entire team, so myself, all the SEs, Jeff, Sean, Eric, Scott, everyone, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. So we just have a couple of slides we're going to walk through and then we're going to dive into it. Really, the intent of this entire session is to just try and, when you all are working from home or something like that, try and get you exposed to something with ServiceNow. Regardless of what level you're at. Some of this might be really basic for some of you who've been with ServiceNow as a customer for a long time or been intimately involved with us, or it might be brand new. Maybe you're a user or soon-to-be user of ServiceNow. So the idea with this Tech Talk series is we have a number of different sessions that are really there to just help you get acclimated. And part of it is not just supposed to be a demonstration of capabilities, but really also to be to hopefully give you the ability to walk away learning something new. So whether you join us for one or you join us for all, we really hope you join us for all. But we hope you walk away with something. So today's session is really an introduction to ServiceNow. So we're starting from ground floor to really kick things off with this entire month series to get you introduced to the Now platform and some of the things that are common across all of the applications, regardless of what you're doing in ServiceNow. So before we get started, one of the things we want to do in this critical time is just throw it out there again. We've talked to a number of folks, but if you aren't aware, ServiceNow launched a customer care program in support of the COVID-19 activities. And part of that is we announced 4 free applications that run on the ServiceNow platform, one of which was actually co-developed with the state of Washington's health department. A lot of our customers have taken advantage of this to help them manage the response activities. And we just throw it out there. If you have any interest or you need these applications or need any support, reach out to myself or any of my counterparts that you work with on the team, Jeff, Scott, Eric, the rest of the team, Shawnee's, and we'll be happy to support you the best we can. Our goal here is we all got to help out, and we want to figure out how we can help you all maintain productivity and at least get the response efforts going. So real quickly again, so the Tech Talk series. So the intent here is twice a week. We'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday morning from 10 to 11:30 to talk about one topic. And again, it's not just supposed to be a demo talking about our product, but really there's supposed to be some learning objectives behind it. Today is an intro to ServiceNow. For some of you, this is going to be a repeat. Some of you have probably seen this about 15, 20 times by now. But it's really to talk about those core functions of ServiceNow that are common regardless application. But as we progress later in the week, we're going to get into ITSM, and we're really going to start talking about some of the new capabilities that are coming out with ITSM Pro. So give you an introduction to that and some of the more advanced things within ITSM that maybe you don't know about, like vendor performance management, things like that. And then next week, we're going to start going into some more advanced topics around software asset management. We're going to do a repeat of ITSM. We're going to get into enterprise case management to get you exposed to that. Talk about some new applications that we're pretty excited about that are coming with hardware asset management and how that ties into anything that you might be doing with the CMDB or discovery and asset management. And then even development best practice. So you can see they kind of progress as we go through. And we've also already started speccing out doing the same thing in May. And the idea is we want to try and repeat some of these sessions because we realize that a lot of people are in or out 1 week, and we want to be able to give people something to do or help them get exposed. So again, this is just our effort to reach out to you all because we really appreciate everything that you do and your time with us, and just try and maybe give you an opportunity to learn something new while we all have to do some remote work. So, format for today. So you can see that we're doing this as a webinar, which is a little bit different. Normally, we would love to have this as an open session where everybody can engage and ask questions, but we really wanted to switch to the webinar format for a couple of reasons. We got a number of people on the phone, and actually, we're pretty overwhelmed and impressed by the number of attendees we have on the call right now. But we also wanted to be cognizant of the folks that we're engaging with. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't broadcasting everybody's name as part of the participant list. We also wanted to be aware of the fact that there are some unfortunate things going on with Zoom bombers and getting into these meetings. So by doing it in a webinar, we can actually control a lot of that activity and really just protect the integrity of our customer base and the like. So we realize this is different for us because we're really engaging. We like to engage with you and answer questions and navigate that way. So there is, when you actually navigate to the top or bottom, I'm not sure what your screen looks like, you'll see a Q&A tab. If you just click that, you can pose a question. We have a couple of different moderators on the back end that are watching the entire Q&A string. And so we'll stop and we'll actually go in and we'll answer those questions. We'll repeat the question, then we'll answer them as we go through. So if you have questions, please stop. We love the engagement. We really do. It helps us make sure that we're hitting on some of those points that you all want to see. So anyway, I'm super excited about this. Thank you so much for joining us. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan Punaro, Solutions Consultant, to just kind of tee up some of the things and really dive into the demo itself.
Great. Thank you, Josh. And good morning to everyone on the webinar. Thank you for joining. And so this will be a high-level overview of ServiceNow, like a ServiceNow 101. Just kind of talk about what Josh, reiterate what Josh just said, talk about the capabilities, the core capabilities that are common across the platform. And really what we do at ServiceNow is we streamline business processes by digitizing and automating workflows. And we do that through the power of the Now platform. If you look at this slide, you see 4 different buckets really of workflows. So reimagine your current business processes, your service desk, your employee onboarding, your casework, custom development, reimagine those as workflows. And those and what drives those workflows on ServiceNow is the Now platform. Whether you're using an out-of-box application like IT service management or IT business management, the platform is the foundation. And some of those core capabilities that I'll be demonstrating today are the service portal, really your engagement portal, what your end user sees, the workflow engine, the ability to just create workflows with no coding required, so you can drag and drop triggers and commands, our knowledge management system, the reporting and performance analytics, really just our platform intelligence that is common across all of our applications. One example I like to share is, think about an iPhone. Your iPhone comes with these core capabilities, right? Your operating system, your camera, and then the applications that you have, your weather apps, your financial apps, those are what you put on top of the iPhone. ServiceNow is similar. Think about our platform as our core capabilities. Common throughout the platform, you'll always have a service portal, AI, machine learning, a workflow engine, common services data model, and then the applications, your service desk, your IT, your business management, your project portfolio management, those applications are built on top of the platform. Next slide, please, Josh. And this slide builds on the last slide and just shows some of the out-of-the-box applications that we do have: IT service management, IT business management, your employee cases, your onboarding. But the key takeaway here is that they're all built on the same platform, the Now platform. Does anyone have any questions on this slide? Because if not, I'm going to move into the demonstration portion of the webinar. And I think, just to reiterate what Josh said, you can chat through the chat or the Q&A function in Zoom. Okay.
Yes, we got one question out there, and somebody just asked about the ServiceNow Fundamentals course. Absolutely, we're going to be talking about that towards the end, and we'll provide that information to everybody towards the end, because there are a number of different resources out there that you can take advantage of when you all have to be at home. So,
Does everyone see my screen? If we do, we can get started.
yep, you're good to
All
go,
right,
Dave.
great, thanks. Okay, so this screen that I'm showing you right now, this is our service portal. Think of it as an engagement portal. This is the end user experience. This is what a customer or an employee mission partner sees when they log into ServiceNow. It's a unifying place. Someone can come to interact with the organization, and especially in the situation we're in now, where a lot of people are working remotely or are geographically dispersed. This is the way the organization, headquarters, management can interact with the folks, the end users, the people that are requesting things or have questions. It's a role-based system. So what I see here is based on my role as an administrator and a manager. So different users will see different portals. I can see current status of where we stand in the network. So a network operations manager would see, if there's any outages or any patching that needs to be done. You could see approvals, et cetera. But it's a role-based system. So you can tailor it to a particular group of people or a particular individual. And it really provides the end user self-service. It's kind of like your tier 0 support, your support page. Most people want to come to a unified location, one location where they can answer questions on their own rather than having to open a ticket, call someone, send emails. They want to be able to find information quickly and be able to move on to value added work. Now, before I get into the service portal capabilities, I want to show you some other portals and kind of hit on what Josh and I talked about, how these portals are unique to an organization, but they all use the Now platform, the platform foundation, the intelligence. So if any folks have kids at home or are working remotely, they might be using Disney Plus. And I know I can't see anyone, but I know people are nodding their head yes. So Disney Plus, they built their customer engagement portal on ServiceNow. So when they rolled out the streaming service, their people who had questions, people who had concerns, maybe the Disney Plus wasn't working correctly. Disney Plus built this portal on ServiceNow, and it provides, like I kind of mentioned before, that tier 0 support. I mean, can you imagine Disney Plus rolls out and people just start emailing and calling? They had thousands and thousands of subscribers. They would just be inundated with emails and phone calls. They wouldn't be able to do things like load balancing, network patching, ensuring they had, there was no latency or lag or anything like that. So this was a location, one central location where people could come, customers could come, ask questions, find answers, et cetera, and do some type of self-service on their own. So it would free up Disney's back-end workforce to ensure the content was streaming appropriately, to ensure, certain content was updated, and et cetera. But it provided, it's very similar. I'll go into details on knowledge and virtual chat, but same common capabilities that ServiceNow provides to all of our customers. The next portal I want to show, and we're pretty proud about this, but is we are helping LA County scheduling their COVID-19 test. So our development team with a partner built this application to help. I mean, you can imagine, I'm assuming that medical staffs across the country are just inundated with phone calls and emails and people that want tests that might have symptoms. So LA County built a testing application on ServiceNow, so you can answer a few questions about yourself. Let's say flu-like symptoms, yes. And then you would fill out information. And your information, I'm not going to do this because I obviously don't want to inundate them with examples, but it would route your request to the appropriate person. So it allows them to manage this very complex and intense situation that we are in. It allows them to actually manage this. It can automate workflows. It can put people to the correct location. So back-end caseworkers can actually have some type of control over over what they're doing and what their work. And so, it's an unprecedented time, very sad, can be very sad. But this was made me proud as a ServiceNow employee that we rolled this out for LA County and we're helping in this effort. Okay, so going back to our kind of standard service portal at ServiceNow. And
Hey, Dan, real
yes,
quickly, if I can just interject, we do have a couple of questions.
sure.
And one of them I just want to address right now. So one of the questions was around what type of roles are there in ServiceNow. So before you get into the different aspects, there's really three types of roles. It depends on application, but the primary types of roles are one, a requester. So this is anybody from that is coming in requesting a service, submitting an incident request, or anything of the like. And they would probably be engaging your services via this portal that Dan is showing. The next up is really a fulfiller, which is somebody on the back end, which we'll get to momentarily, and Dan will show that. That is going to be the person that's going to receive those requests, be working on an incident, working on fulfilling a request or an activity, and really kind of doing the work on the back end and coordinating the work across different departments or organizations. And then the third is what's called an approver. An approver is somebody that's just part of a workflow that maybe doesn't need to engage interact in ServiceNow on a day-to-day basis to fulfill their job, but there might be a dependency on them as part of a workflow to fulfill something. So a good example is let's say you have a contractor resource that's coming on, and they are submitting a request for access to a particular network, or they maybe they need a desktop. That might go to a government representative as an approver just to say yes, they can actually get that because ultimately it's the government's responsibility. So that was one question we'll answer in the Q&A. Another quick question that we'll answer real quick was, does ServiceNow host this website or these capabilities and provide these services on the high side? So all of ServiceNow capabilities are available on the high side in a self-hosted manner, meaning we act more as a traditional software vendor in this case. So you can actually go in and you can actually deploy this and operate this on the approved cloud infrastructure that you're running today, or even bare metal, whatever you need to do. So we don't actually own and operate and run it as a traditional cloud service in this sense. However, we do basically give you the same exact stack that we use and operate in our cloud and allow you to run it in a closed space. Sorry, Dan, back to you.
Okay. Thanks, Josh. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for answering those questions. And yeah, if anyone has questions, please feel free to interject. And Josh or Chuck or some of the folks, ServiceNow folks on the call will interrupt me, and please do that. This would be great to just be more interactive, and so I can make sure I'm showing you relevant content that you're interested in. Okay, so we're back to the standard ServiceNow service portal. And, I like to think of the portal are kind of used for three different things. You want to know something if you're engaging with your organization. You want to know something, you want to request something, or something might not be working correctly. And so we took that and, we want to take the consumer experience, the experience that you're used to using when you use Amazon, when you use Google, when you use Uber, just an intuitive. You don't need to learn how to use Amazon. You don't need to learn how to use Uber. We wanted to bring that consumer experience into the workplace. And so these, I'll kind of explain the portal page as a whole, and then kind of go into some of the feature functionality of it. But if you look at the top right here, so you have COVID-19 update. This again allows your higher headquarters, your management, to be a little bit more proactive in terms of saying like, hey, we are monitoring this situation. You don't need to submit questions or cases or incidents. It just allows that proactive experience. So you're again using this portal as one, a way to interact with everybody, but two, it's also a tier 0 support page. You can deflect calls as early as possible. So again, that back end, that people that are doing the work can be doing value added work. Think about, for instance, if you had an outage, you're using Verizon or Comcast, and you have internet is out or something like that. If you logged into their page, maybe using your cell phone service, you logged in and said, my internet, you saw a banner update saying, okay, we understand the internet is out in your location. We are actively working to fix it. you'd be less likely to open up an incident and ticket. Again, you're freeing up their workforce to fix the root problem rather than answering call, being inundated with emails and incidents and cases about internet outage when they know what is happening. So it just provides that tier 0 support, allows the organization to be proactive. Now, what you see on the screen, we call these widgets, where you see request something, knowledge base, these locations where you can drill in the status, the top rated articles. These are out of the box widgets. You can configure them to your organization, whatever is relevant that you want particular roles to see. There's no development necessary. You can configure pages easily, drag and drop, add widgets. It's pretty straightforward. All right, so when you want to know something, in your everyday life, what do, right? You typically go to Bing. Now, I'm just kidding. I know I can't hear people laughing, but I probably got some smiles out of that. You probably go to Google and you type how to do something, or I need help doing some do-it-yourself work at your house right now. So we can type in, let's see, how to work remotely during a 100-year pandemic. Pretty relevant right now. This was so what happens is, we search in our knowledge base, relevant content populates based on your contextual search. The closest example to what you type in the search box populates. And then you can see you have knowledge articles, you have Q&A, you have some items that your organization's offering in the service catalog, Adobe, Visio, monitors. But for us, for this particular situation, we'll see how to work remotely during a 100-year pandemic. And I think some people have probably experienced this picture right now. But really, in all seriousness, this is something that you could do, hitting on that proactive, headquarters being proactive experience. You have people that will have questions about working remotely, that will want to know what they are allowed to do, what they need in order to work remotely. This would be a way to add a knowledge article. So you could give a step-by-step instructions of, request a laptop, or here's how you connect to the VPN, etc. And just providing people information that they might not know. And so they'll be able to kind of self-service on their own, following either a step-by-step process or a process on how to request something. And what's great about this too is that some of the data, and I'm not going to get too much into service management and incident and cases, but that data that people are putting in, saying something might not be working, or how can I do this and that, ServiceNow captures that data. So you can see, if there's a common incident or problem that is happening in the organization, you could proactively create a knowledge article once you have a fix and push that out. And so it's just a way, it's interaction. It's a way to be more proactive and to streamline work. On the right-hand side, you can also see top rated articles that could be relevant to what you're looking for. Top viewed articles. It's all based on popularity within your organization. We call these at the top breadcrumbs. You can see where you are. This is the article I'm viewing from the knowledge base. But we'll go back to the home screen, and you can get back to the home screen clicking the logo or clicking home like I just did. Any questions about knowledge before I move on? I don't think we do. Okay. So the next thing I want to show is our service catalog. So I mentioned how you can do contextual search. So say you're working from home and you might need a laptop. You could do contextual search. Say you want to pull up a laptop, so you can get to the service catalog from search. I will go into request something, and this goes into our service catalog. And these are unique to your organization and what your organization offers. And this provides that Amazon type experience that I mentioned earlier, right? You have your categories listed alphabetically. You have popular items in the main screen that are popular, again, tailored to your organization, what people are ordering. And again, it just gives you the ability to show whether it doesn't have to be just IT hardware and software. It can be anything. It can be what you're offering, your HR information. If you're offering some type of like financial information, whatever. This is the page. This is the catalog that you can your service catalog. It's your offerings to the organization. But I know I need a laptop. I'm working remotely, so I'm going to do this Asus laptop. It takes you through an ordering process similar to what you experience in the consumer world. You can either add it to cart, continue browsing the catalog if you want additional items, or you can just do order now. We'll just order now. Open up the delivery information where you want it, any type of special instructions, check out. And then you see your request, you see when it was submitted, the estimated delivery date. And this part I love is you see where it is in the process. This is the kind of similar to a package tracking system or a pizza tracking system. You can see as the end user, the person who requested something, you can see where it is, if it's approved, fulfillment, when it's going to be delivered. And it just gives you transparency throughout your organization. I know I've spent time as I'm still in the Army Reserves, but whenever I need something or a laptop or if I need software to do my job, all I can do is send emails and they go unanswered for months, weeks, and months on end. And I just don't know where it is in the process. So that removes that ambiguity and this provides that transparency. So you can see, where the end user can see where it is in the process. Now, what's great about this is the simplicity that we see when we order something on this from the portal end. But on the back end, there's probably more tasks that are happening. But end users, consumers, we don't really concern ourselves with what's happening on the back end, right? We just want to know we ordered a laptop. When is the laptop going to be delivered? But there's more complex tasks and workflows that are kicking off when you make this order. One workflow is this person in this role allowed to order this item? And then two, you have the fulfillment. You have the fulfillment workflow that's happening. So you have items that are going to individual people. You have procurement getting involved, etc. And it's kind of like when you go to a bank, right? You put in your ATM card to get cash out. You put in your ATM card, you type in your PIN, cash comes right out, right? But there's more things that are happening. There's more authentication that's happening on the back end. But as a consumer, we're just not concerned with that right now. So that's kind of our service catalog, and we will revisit this process so I can show you some of the capabilities on the back end for the people that are going to be fulfilling this request. Again, the breadcrumbs will go back to the home screen. And so far we've talked about search, contextual search. We've talked about the service catalog. Now let's talk about virtual chat. So this is an innovative way that people are engaging with organizations, with companies now. And ServiceNow we've implemented this, and I think some people on the line are probably familiar with using this. But it's almost like when you're going to do some type of experience. I used Verizon again. I know I used it before, but when I was updating my cable package, I did everything through virtual chat. I know it's just a bot. It's providing the information. It's using machine learning and artificial intelligence to drive the conversation. And we're doing the same thing with our virtual chat within the workplace. And so I'm just going to kind of walk you through this real quick, but you could do how can I help? Show me everything. So you can see change requests, create a problem, IT tickets. You can see what assets you have. You can see request for leave, PTO. I mean, it just gives you a variety of options to choose from. Or you can use this chat capability. And so I have the laptop to work remotely, right? I have that on order. I probably need some software to do some work. So let's say request software. And okay, so this isn't everything I need. Okay, so say I want something else. Hang on 1 second. Request software. Okay. All right, this isn't. Let me try one more time. I'm gonna type in Adobe. Well, that wasn't working as well as I was hoping. Let's go to show me everything. And I want to request something. All right, so we'll submit a request. Let's say we want software. And then it pulls up the software, directly from what we have in the service catalog, what we're offering. And so it pulls up that software that you might need to work from home, or something that the organization is offering. And I know I'll be working from home, so I know we do a lot of PDFs, and I'll do Adobe. And so you can order it directly from virtual chat, and you'll get the same request number um, that we saw when we ordered the laptop from the service catalog. And then if you ever want to go back and look at your outstanding requests to see where they are in the process, I'm going to show you that. And you can do the survey. So you can see at the end, you can see, using a survey, simple smiley face, middle, or not smiley face, you can see how the virtual chat did. It's just a way to get feedback that's better than asking people a bunch of questions. But now that we have our laptop, we have our software, we can go to our request page to see if we have any outstanding requests, Adobe Acrobat, Asus, and we can see where they are in the process. And that's really all I have for Service Portal. Are there any questions before I move into the back end of ServiceNow, where we'll get more focused on reporting and analytics and completing the request that we just created?
Hey, Dan, we got a couple of questions.
Okay.
We'll try and answer them the best we can. I'll be the first to admit sometimes we don't have all the answers, so we might need to take that answer or that question down and come back to you all later. But one of them is with regards to the roles. Yes, we do support RBAC functionality. I mean, you can get pretty granular on your security controls within ServiceNow and how you want to actually do that. Meaning you can even get into the form and get down to the different element level of a form and controlling who sees what and all of those things. So yes, we do have full RBAC capabilities inherent to the platform itself. There was another question about where do we pull in those roles and users. Yes, we have full integration with LDAP, and so you Active Directory, all those things. We don't want to duplicate the wheel. So if you're creating groups or whatever it may be, we want to ingest that information or interconnect the two systems so that we can ingest that into ServiceNow so that you're not having to duplicate things. But again, on top of that, you can do additional more fine-grained control and fine-grained access within ServiceNow itself. Trying to think, is there anything else? So one question is can you replace SharePoint? And if so, is there a way to easily migrate data files into this from SharePoint? So it really depends on the use case. If you're looking for a content repository or an enterprise document management system, we will be the first to say that that's probably not us. But if you're looking for a system or a capability to provide you rapid application development where you can develop kind of those unique applications where you offset some of that, sure, we can absolutely do that. That is commonly a use case where people are doing it. And our bread and butter is if you're using or building an application that requires going across functional boundaries of an organization where you have dependencies on a lot of different organizations to complete a task, and you want to use the workflow engine to actually assign those roles and or activities to those different groups to fulfill something and be able to track and really be able to hold people accountable to get the work done. That's really where, frankly, we thrive. So the answer is maybe. And oftentimes people are doing that, but it's really, I would recommend reaching out to us if you're working with one of the account execs or SCs on the team to have a conversation about the use case, so we can give you some guidance there. I'm trying to think what else here. Chuck, do you have any answers on any of the other ones?
Yeah, I'm starting to answer these as we're going through. So again, just as Josh said, I apologize if I'm not answering them as fast as I can. Some of these I don't have all the answers for. I know that there was a question that I just answered as well about the virtual agent, whether or not it's available for on-premise. It is actually available for on-premise. for Kingston going forward, and that also includes what we call predictive intelligence or the machine learning AI capabilities. There was a question around the different data warehouses, and I'm not sure if that question was around the warehousing of actual data, or if you're talking, because I know that this is while Dan was presenting the ability to request an asset, or whether you were talking about actual warehousing, stock rooms. The answer to both is pretty simple. We do allow for stockroom tracking for assets when requesting assets. And then at the same time, you can data warehouse data inside of scoped apps within ServiceNow. For data segregation purposes, we really lean on, I know that there's a bunch of questions around roles-based access. So we lean heavily on roles-based access, as well as we do have the ability to take the data, delineate it down all the way to the core of the database structure with what is called domain separation. It gets a little bit deeper. And again, I think I posted to one of the questions, our doc site, which is docs.servicenow.com. Most of the information that I'm talking about is out there, and we can send out these links through the panel as once we finish out with these sessions. I think that's most of the questions that I'd want to address right now, Josh.
Great. Dan?
All right. Okay. All right. So now I want to show you the back end of ServiceNow, where you're going to be, sorry about that, completing the work. And I know people have kind of been hitting on role-based, and so this is all role-based system. So where I'm landing right now, this is what an IT director would potentially see. And I know this is focused on incidents, and Chuck is going to be covering that on Thursday and then again next week. So I didn't really want to go too much into incidents, but I think I wanted to use this particular dashboard because I think it shows the reporting and analytics capabilities of ServiceNow very well. And so this would be something maybe an IT director would log in and see this dashboard maybe first thing in the morning. And what's great about this is that, so you have real time, if you look at the top left, real time incidents, so 372. If somebody opened up an incident, that would go up to 373. So you have operational data, real time data. And this also uses our performance analytics. So we take historical data that's been accumulated in unique to your organization, and we can start forecasting out. So we can look at incidents, like where we would think we would see a spike in particular incidents, or trend lines to see the age of open incidents. So it allows an organization to see real-time data, which is a big issue right now in today's work environment. And it also allows you to forecast out when you might see a spike based on given circumstances, some type of correlation between patching and a spike in incidents. So it allows you to be proactive if you know you need certain staff there on a certain day or time of the month. But again, and these are out of the box reports, out of the box capabilities. You can configure these reports. You can put what's relevant to your organization. And I'll show you, you could just add widgets. So you can drag these around if you want to rearrange them. You can add new reports. You can share these dashboards with other people so that they can see them when so someone else given their role could see the dashboards as well whenever they want. So just very, very configurable to what you want, and provides great data, and it's real-time data. So it's up to the second data. The next thing I want to show, so we open the request and we order the laptop. And so now this takes us to our list view. And this probably to some folks that haven't been using ServiceNow, this might look like an Excel spreadsheet to an extent with columns and rows. But our list view, our list view is different in terms of the capabilities. And I know I mentioned I'm an Army reservist. So over the weekend, I was actually thinking about this because I was working on something for my commanding officer. And the only way that we can use data and pull data, we pull data out of a source, a data source, and we put it into Excel. And so by the time I brief my commander on this data that I'm manipulating and creating graphics on, it's old data, right? People have gone and done things that, whether it's doing a physical fitness test or some type of readiness metric, something has been updated and I'm already behind. And so I was actually thinking, I wish we had ServiceNow to use, because I know that data will be getting pulled from a data source and would be real-time data. And then I would also be able to create reports a lot more easily than going through Excel. But anyway, so I want to show you some of the functionality that we have within list view. And so we can see the columns at the top. And what I'm going to show you is some of the right-click functionality. So this is the state of all the requests. We have open, we have work in progress. You'll see some closed as we progress through this. But we want to see, let's show matching work in progress. So now we can see, we drill down, we see everything that's matching in terms of these requests. These are work in progress. So these are being fulfilled, right? Going through the process of fulfilling, procuring these items. And what that does is it creates, so with one right click, you create a new filter, a new conditional filter. You can see it at the top. You can save this conditional filter. You can add this filter to your favorites by just dragging it over to your favorites bar. And then this, whenever you come in, whenever you log into ServiceNow, you'll have this condition, all requests that are assigned to you or all requests within the organization that are a work in progress, you'll have that filter automatically, and new data will populate so you can see real-time metrics on where you are with these particular requests that are still going through the fulfillment process. And so another kind of unique capability that we have working in our list view is the ability to collaborate. So we have these requests. Actually, I'm going to take one step back. So we see all these assigned tos. Some of these are empty. You can click on these assignment groups and add people. So you could add Beth Anglin. I know she works for Service Desk. I know she's going to be fulfilling requests. You can click into those and update multiple records, multiple fields, just from list view. So it provides you just to be a little bit more efficient in the workplace. But so we have these requests that are work in progress right now. We see the assignment groups. One of the really great capabilities is something called a visual task board. And so let me show you this real quick. So this is a visual task board, right? So this shows all the requests where the groups, where they're assigned. I can add people to this. Like maybe I want Abraham Lincoln to work on these work in progress. I want Beth. I know Beth is good. I want Joe. Kind of creating this little tiger team to surge. We want to knock these requests out. We want to get all these from work in progress. We want to get them into close and complete. So you can add people as primaries or additional on these particular requests. You can drag them to different assignment groups. You can chat within visual tasks. So open up the chat, and everybody that's even if they're not in the visual task board at this moment, they'll see that chat when they log in. And this is common across whatever you have. If you have IT service management or IT business management, you're able to do all of these capabilities from list view. You're able to do that for all of the applications that you're using. So now I'm going back to our requests because I want to show you some of the reporting capabilities that we have. So right now, this is all the requests that I have access to based on my role. And I want to build a report. I have a manager that wants to know, the assignment group, what requests they have in their queue. So I can right click on that assignment group title, and I can create a report directly from that list view. And so here you can see that the report name, we can change this based on requests by assignment group. Sorry about that. I can see where the source is. I can see where the data is being pulled from. We can change this from a bar chart to a pie chart to time series. You can do heat maps. You can do geographic maps. You know, if you're talking about assets, there's just a ton of out-of-the-box reports that you can choose from. You can configure this report. So if I want to see assignment group and I want to stack this report by the state so I can see where they are, where these requests are, I can see, you know, work in progress, whether they're closed, whether they're complete. It just gives me more relevant data, whatever is relevant to what I need or what my manager needs. And then you have the ability to share this. So you can share it with particular people in the organization. You can schedule this report to run. So you could have this run weekly, monthly, what have you. And it allows you as a person fulfilling these requests, it allows you to be proactive. So rather than being told, you know, you need to create a report, you could have this into somebody's inbox or somebody's dashboard on a weekly, monthly, bi-weekly basis. But I think, so we want to go into the request. Does anyone have any questions about the list view and the capabilities in list view before I move into the request and show you kind of the task, the automated tasks that occur from that request?
Yeah, Dan, so we're answering a couple on the stream, but just to throw it out there, yes, there was a question around, can you filter the list views and basically save them?
Yes.
100%, absolutely, you can do that with list views, save it however you want with the columns and the data and everything associated with it.
So let me, Josh, I can do that again real quick.
Go for it.
So I'll create a new, so that we can filter out empty. And so now we have this, let's filter out, let's do matching to work in progress. So now we have assignment group that are work in progress. Here's your conditional statement now. You can save it here. So you could save that filter, create a name, or you can drag this on the left side. This is my favorites bar. I could drag that to my favorites. You see that icon? That is my saved list view in this particular filter.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so let me go into the ASUS request, which is a couple of things. So this is our form, right? That was list view. This is our form view. Kind of looks similar to the LA County, has the same look and feel to what you've seen in Service Portal and what you saw on the LA County website. Disney Plus, again, these all run on the Now platform. And so I want to show you, the first thing I want to show you is how you can create new fields on this form pretty easily. So if I wanted to add like a priority, maybe a senior executive has a request for a laptop, they need to work from home. So you want to add a priority state. So you could go to this menu right here, configure this form. We'll go to form design. And this will load, and it just kind of shows you how quickly you can make changes, configure changes to within ServiceNow. Let's say I want to add priority contextual search. I'll add priority here. Save that. Oops. Go back to the request. And then priority, you see this in the bottom right where my mouse is, you see where the priority is. So I could change this myself if I wanted to, create business rules where you could see if a particular person made a request, it would automatically get a higher priority, etc. It's just a quick way to add additional information if that's what you're looking for. So this request, this was for the ASUS laptop. I want to show you the workflow so I can show you how this works. So I had a requester. I was the requester. I asked for the laptop. The price was under $1,000. This is the condition that we set. And so if it's under $1,000, it's automatically approved. So it doesn't have to go through a manager approval. You can set these conditions based on what your organization wants and how you want it done. Our threshold was $1,000. Goes through the approval process, and then we can start fulfilling, right? So you don't have to have a manager go in and approve. It just expedites the process. So this is the workflow. These are drag and drop, right? You can set conditions, create if statements, and you don't need any type of software development background. We'll go back to the request. Let's go to catalog tasks, right? So we make that request. We see it on the portal side. I see where it is in the process. And on the back end, a little bit more complex, it's kicking off automated tasks, right? Based on how we route these requests through our organization. So I can drill into this task. It pulls in all of the request information, right? The request number, requested for. This is still an open. It's now been assigned to procurement because the procurement's going to be sourcing this request. And from here, again, same look and feel, same feel from the request form. We can go to source request. So we see, okay, we have 37 in stock. We need one source, right? This one G series laptop. You can add a PO. So you can integrate this with your purchase ordering system if you'd like. We have these in stock, so we can do a transfer order. You can choose which stock room you want to make sure you're not depleting an organization, a particular stock room of what they have. So we can do Southern California. They have 20, they have plenty. Choose where it's going. We could just say Palo Alto. And then you could kick this source request off. And then it moves through, and then it just continues to move through the process until you get to that point where you have the delivery scheduled for that individual person. So what we've talked about today, that's really, considering this is high level, I didn't want to get too in the weeds in terms of IT service management, which Chuck is doing, software asset management. But just to recap kind of what we discussed today is we've moved from a request in the service portal, showed you the ability to pull up knowledge articles or relevant content through the knowledge base, request something from your service catalog, use virtual chat. We move through that process to the back end where you're fulfilling that particular request. It kicks off, it automates assignment groups and who's responsible for that, whether it's the procurement group or service desk, just depending on what the business rules that you have set in place for your organization. We talked about reporting and analytics and the out-of-the-box reports that we have, how you can configure them, how you can create relevant content for your organization. We went through list view, where we showed how you can create new filters within list view create a new conditional filter. You can save it. I showed you visual task boards, so how you can collaborate if you needed to maybe create a tiger team and surge on requests that are a work in progress or cases or really anything. Again, the common denominator here is the Now platform. So no matter what application you are using, if you're using it for IT service management, if you're using it for case management, if you have a custom application a scoped application that you've created on ServiceNow, you have the platform intelligence that's common across all of those applications. So you'll have the same look and feel, the same capabilities that I showed you at a very high level today. And so that's really where I was planning on ending today. If people have questions, please fire away and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. And I can show you additional content if people are interested in seeing that.
Hey, Dan, this is Josh.
Yes.
Great job. Thanks for doing all that. So one thought is, and I can't recall because I've been trying to keep up with the Q&A window, is just the workflow editor,
Yeah.
just to give people a glimpse, not suggesting you need to go into it in great
Yep,
detail, but
sure.
just to show how the approval and routing function works?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show workflow editor. So I'll show you two things today. I'll show you two. I'll kind of workflow editor, which shows the workflow of how that request happened, just very linear, yes, no approval. And then I'll go into flow designer, which talks about triggers and how you can update particular data sets based on a set of conditions. And so this is the service catalog workflow that we have. So you have this beginning to end process. On the right-hand side, you can see different type of workflows, and you can literally drag and drop these. Oh, hang on 1 second. Gotta check these out. Okay, check it out. So you can't edit it. Again, just an additional control. You can't edit it if you don't have it checked out. But you can drag and drop different type of workflows or conditions within this particular workflow from beginning to end. So if you wanted to add, I don't know, I don't have a great example right now, but some AWS content, you can drag it at some point into the process. Again, so it just eliminates, you don't have to be a software developer. You can drag and drop items into workflows and create that beginning to end process. And then when you are done, you can just select publish. And now this is an approved workflow. This is your service catalog item request. This is the process that it goes through. Again, linear process, whether it's a yes or no. And it's pretty straightforward and simple to do. Now the next item I want to show you is flow designer. So this creates a flow. It's kind of like a modernized workflow editor. And I'm going to show you one that's already created. And then I'll show you how simple it is to build one. But I'll just click on this top one. You can see the triggers. So you have a set of triggers daily at 23:30. The actions are look up case records for each item, update the case, look up case records. So this is happening. This is some type of trigger, right? Daily at 2300. That's happening automatically. And it's the same as workflow editor. You can drag and drop these, we call them pills. You can drag and drop these particular triggers or actions in a really simple way without any type of software development. But let me show you. I'll create a new flow. Baseline flow. And I can set a trigger. Let's say something is created or updated. We'll select the table. So we'll say the incident table. Anytime an incident is created or updated, right? So anytime an incident is created or updated, I want an action. So we have these out of the box, default actions. Send email, because I want people to know, excuse me, I want people to know that when something is updated, when an incident is created or updated, they get an email notification. On the right-hand side, you can see the data, the target record that we're going to pull. So we're going to pull this. We'll do incident record. Okay, so send email on an incident record. And we will send this to the assignment group. Hang on 1 second. So we'll send this to the assignment group that corresponds to it with the title. Just, you could say test or whatever. And so anytime an incident is created or updated, you'll get an email to that particular assignment group. And again, this is just an automated flow right now that you have. You could save it, you could publish it. You can test these flows as well, just to make sure that they're working correctly.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. There was a couple other questions about workflow. I'm not sure if you or Chuck can answer it. Can you convert a custom workflow from workflow editor to work in Flow Designer?
So as of right, yeah, I can answer that. So as of right now, there's not a port to move over workflows into Flow Designer. I know that there's been some discussions by our products team to have functionality like that, but one thing I do want to call out is they are really quite different and can work together in the same. And what I mean by that is we're finding the use cases for workflow to remain as they always have. This is your common process as it moves along in your day to day based on the application tier that you're using. Flow Designer obviously has the ability to do that, but it's also more of a point in case where if you need an action. So if you think about, for those who are familiar with development on top of ServiceNow or the admin type roles, if you're familiar with what we call a business rule, which is just an action that needs to happen when something else happens, that's where we're finding a lot of the use cases for Flow Designer. So don't think of workflow and Flow Designer as being an either or. They're really combined together. In that workflow is your clear cut process as it's defined, and Flow Designers are used for, or can be used for, those specific situations where a record's updated and I need this to happen. I hope that answers the question.
And Chuck, there's a couple other workflow related questions. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
I'm trying to stream through these. And by the way, thank you for all these questions. I mean, this is amazing. You've definitely kept those of us that aren't presenting on our toes. So I know, let's see here. Yep. So I know that there's a question around here about using specific forms. In the workflow, I want to set up for my new forms. There may be requirements for individuals to have other forms filled out prior or due to my forms. Is there a way to link other forms with an activity request form? So I think what you're asking is, can you define forms for certain points of the process? And yes, that's doable within the platform. It's actually how we get a lot of information into these types of records. That's also going to lean heavily upon the roles-based access. So if you're an individual who needs to fill out a certain part of the form, that can show up or be hidden based on that view. We also suggest, if you find yourself working in a process where you've got several different parties who need to fill out several different actions that might need to feed up into one overarching process, task management is really your best friend at that point. And that allows you the leniency to build out these forms as you need for specific task-oriented items. I'll get a little bit into that, and I know Dan showed some of it today, and I'll show it a little bit deeper as well on some of the coming sessions.
All right. Let's see. So thanks for your patience everywhere. We're trying to catch up. So we answered the custom workflows. Can the workflow interface with external data repositories or external systems? Yeah, absolutely. ServiceNow is designed to integrate with third-party systems via API. So, I mean, we're going to leverage those systems to push-pull data or push-pull activities, whatever it is you want to do. There was another question out there about use cases outside of IT. Absolutely. ServiceNow, obviously our claim to fame, or really how we started out, was around ITSM. But in reality, the platform was really designed to do rapid application development. ITSM was just the first application that we developed as a company and started to market. So can you use it to field other service requests or do other activities? Absolutely. We have customers that are doing it for helping to manage vehicle fleets. where we have breweries that are using it. There's a whole variety of different use cases. So anything and everything that can be a service, not just IT, but it can be any other component of an organization. Um, everything from HR cases and employee activities to maybe there's legal work, there's facilities activities, mission related items where you need to request something or manage a process related to some sort of end asset. 100%. Basically, you can use ServiceNow to wrap any of those activities. What application is the best fit for that? That's really a consultative discussion with you and the AESC from ServiceNow to help you identify what application is best fit to help you get to production faster. Because sometimes we've found that case management, for instance, with our CSM application is more appropriate to manage a body of work where you need to track that activity related to an account structure, or maybe you're engaging with an external mission partner and the like. Or even just a custom application where you're using, like Chuck said, the task capability and building a unique app. So tons of use cases for ServiceNow. We're being used not just for IT, we're being used for a whole slew of things.
Josh, yeah, I mean, thank you for answering. I just pulled up on my screen. I think I should be still sharing, but the FOIA, like a FOIA request, right? And that's just a workflow process where somebody's submitting a request and then it's going through a set of either approvals or people are working on it. It's just routed to the appropriate people. So that's just one additional example I wanted to share.
Great. Let's see.
So I've got a couple here, Josh, that I can answer. So I know there's been a couple questions around the ease of use when you're building out these forms or adding new fields. I can't really speak in comparison to any other applications that are currently out on the market. Although I've heard that we're easier to use. I'm going to tell you we're easier to use based on my experience in the past. But that being said, I know there's questions around, if we add new fields, how can those be used? Can we use them on other forms? I know within a lot of the legacy applications that are used for these types of processes, it's always been quite cumbersome to add a field and then delegate that field across any other forms or workflows, processes being used. Within ServiceNow, the second that you add a field to a form, it's immediately, and again, this is based on an admin type role, it is immediately available on the back end. And what that means is you're not having to go into the back end system to add the field not only on the form, but to the tables. So it's a one shot and you're done. When you add that field on the form, it's created within the tables. It's immediately accessible within the list view that Dan showed so that you can add it to your columns, you can add it to your reports. And the same goes as well for renaming fields. I know it seems like a simple thing, but it's one of the most used cases that we've seen, most widely used cases that we've seen is if I need to go in and rename a field, maybe it's an out of the box field and you need it to be renamed for your process, you can simply right click on that, again, based on your role, and change that field name. That'll go ahead and change it for everywhere that's being used. So it's not a hunting game where you're trying to figure out where that field was used. And that's just some example of the ease of use in forms design.
Great. Thanks, Chuck. Trying to think. So basic question is the backend Kubernetes. So we actually use a relational database. There's a couple of different things that you can use. We recommend MariaDB as the backend. Anything else in there, Chuck?
I'm trying to look through here.
So just one question, I think, Chuck, you just answered it, is around SharePoint. Do you need specialized training to edit forms and designing? No, not really. It's really easy to use. And actually, at the end, we'll show you a list. But if you go to nowlearning.com or Google that, there's a number of free classes out there. And I'll talk about it at the end. But we do have the ServiceNow fundamentals training on demand, free until the end of June or until June. So if you get the chance and you're at home and you want to take that, you can certainly do that. But there's even other smaller training classes that talk about editing forms. You can also go to developer.servicenow.com and actually provision a free temporary instance to get in there and play around with it. And there's also some tutorials there to show you how you do those things.
Yeah, and one of the questions above that, Josh, going back to the earlier point that I made, was around requirements based on fields. So we allow for field requirements or mandatory field data to be filled in for any field on top of the platform. And again, that's really a great use case as well for Flow Designer. If you need action to happen off of the data that's filled into that specific field, Flow Designer is a great use case for that.
That's right. So we apologize, we're not answering all the questions. Some of these questions do get into a little bit of detail, and our recommendation is if it gets a little bit too technical, just for the sake of time and not to get into TEMing a lot of these things, recommend reaching out to your AE or SC at ServiceNow. And if you need help getting in touch with them, please feel free to email me. This is Josh Bradfield. I'm the one that sent the meeting request out. If you were a recipient of that, and I'll get you in touch with the right person on our side. Can you post the links for training? Yeah. So Dan, can you stop sharing so I can share?
Sure.
All right, so real quick, and I'll go back to the previous slide. So these are some of the resources we were talking about that you have access to that are out there. The Now Learning, the training website, again, is nowlearning.servicenow.com. You can go ahead and Google that and it'll take you there. If you want, we can actually send out this link here because sometimes it's a little bit difficult to navigate and find, but that's that self-paced fundamentals free training that you have out there. Really suggest taking a look at this site because there's a lot of free capabilities out there and a lot of great short tutorials that can really get you up to speed, regardless of what level you're at. There's also the YouTube channel, and we always recommend when you go there, go to the ServiceNow support YouTube channel. Our regular YouTube channel is awesome, but generally our customers want to see functional type demos and really be able to get in and see how it operates as opposed to maybe seeing some of the more marketing related activities. So that's a great resource too. And then, like I mentioned, the temporary development instance, which is developers.servicenow.com. There's some free training on there and you can provision those instances. So tons of stuff for you to get access to get acclimated to ServiceNow. So let me just go back real quick. So this was the intro to ServiceNow. If we didn't answer all your questions, we'll do our best to maybe send these out, or I'll reconvene with the team and see what we can do to answer some of these additional questions if we didn't do it. And again, I apologize. We're not trying to just ignore them, but some of these they're probably suited for more of a TEM type conversation, or just to make sure that we understand your question and are addressing it correctly. We can't say enough. I mean, we are just overwhelmed with the number of attendees we had today. Clearly, Chuck and I were trying to keep up. So thank you so much. And this was our first run at it. So we got some kinks we got to work out, and we'll be doing that. But if there's we have another one coming up on Thursday. So again, same time, same channel. So 10 to 11:30. Chuck's going to be going into more of the ITSM side of things, since this was really kind of more of a baseline introduction. So we'll please come back and join us again. And then we'll repeat this as we go through. We're going to reconvene as a team after this because we want to figure out how to make this as enjoyable of an experience and as high quality experience for you. So we'll do our best. So please bear with us, and we'll see how we can continue to make this better. So that's all I have. Chuck or Dan, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I want to echo what Josh said. Thank you everybody for joining. Really appreciate it, and I look forward to interacting with everyone over the next few weeks.
Yeah, everybody, please stay safe. Enjoy your time with your families, and let us know however we can help. We want to do whatever we can. Go ahead.
Josh, sorry for interrupting, but yeah, so if anybody, if you have an account team, for anybody that wants the links to the training or the YouTube stuff, just email the account team and we'll make sure to send that out to you.
Yeah, and if you don't know who the account team is, and by chance you were a recipient of the meeting invite, this is Josh. You can respond to me, and I'll be sure to get it back to you and connect to everybody else. So, everyone, we really, really, really appreciate your time today. Hopefully, some of you got something out of this. We're going to keep going and try and figure out how to make it as valuable as we can for you guys. So, everybody, have an awesome day, and we'll see you on Thursday.